Have you ever felt like there's a part of you that you're afraid to face? What if I told you that embracing those parts, your fears, flaws, and hidden emotions could unlock your true potential and lead to a life of freedom and authenticity? Welcome to Carl Jung's Theories and Archetypes, where we explore the powerful concepts of Jungian psychology that can completely transform your understanding of yourself and the world around you. In this video, we'll dive deep into one of Jung's most groundbreaking ideas, the shadow. This part of our psyche holds the key to self-empowerment, emotional healing, and personal growth. Are you ready to step into your full power and unlock the hidden aspects of yourself? Keep watching to learn how confronting your shadow can lead to a life that is more authentic, fulfilling, and aligned with your true self. Shadow in everyday life. The shadow, according to Carl Jung, is not just an abstract concept found in theoretical studies. It manifests in our everyday lives, reflected in the emotions, behaviors, and thoughts we often try to hide or deny. In fact, the shadow consists of parts of ourselves that we do not want to acknowledge, qualities we may consider or inappropriate, shaped by a societal, familial, or personal standards. As we engage with our shadow, we begin to uncover the hidden gifts that lie within it. What we often see as our flaws or weaknesses can in fact be powerful sources of energy and strength. For example, the shadow might contain our capacity for creativity, the assertiveness, or deep emotional connection qualities that we may have suppressed because we didn't know how to express them healthily. By integrating these traits, we reclaim our energy and use it to fuel our personal growth and success. As we continue to explore the integration of the shadow, it's important to recognize that this process isn't just about confronting the uncomfortable parts of ourselves. It's also about embracing the totality of our humanity. We are all multifaceted beings, each with a blend of light and dark. The shadow represents the parts of us that we often try to ignore or hide, but these parts are integral to our journey of becoming whole. When we reject them, we reject a part of who we truly are. The more we embrace our shadow, the more we realize that it isn't something that has power over us. It's simply a reflection of our inner world, the fears, desires, and tendencies that exist within us all. The shadow doesn't hold us back. In fact, it can propel us forward once we acknowledge it and use it as a tool for transformation. What we often view as our limitations can become our greatest sources of strength and wisdom when fully integrated into our lives. This process of shadow integration is also a pathway to emotional healing. Our repressed emotions, often hidden in the shadow, are signals from our subconscious that point to areas of our lives that need attention. These emotions, when confronted, can lead to profound healing. Whether it's grief, anger, or unresolved trauma, acknowledging these emotions allows us to process them in a healthy way. By facing our shadow, we stop suppressing the emotions that hold us back, and instead we find ways to release them and move forward. The integration of the shadow also brings about a deeper understanding of our true desires. When we repress certain parts of ourselves, we often do so because we've been conditioned to believe that some desires are wrong or unacceptable. These hidden desires can include a longing for success, love, recognition, or even indulgence. By embracing the shadow, we allow ourselves to fully acknowledge what we truly want in life without fear of judgment. This self-awareness is key to personal empowerment, as it allows us to make choices that are aligned with our deepest desires and values rather than those imposed by society or others. As we continue to integrate our shadow, we also develop a deeper sense of inner strength. The more we acknowledge and confront the parts of ourselves that we once rejected, the more we realize that we are capable of handling life's challenges with grace and resilience. The shadow reveals to us the strengths that we may not have recognized before, showing us that we are more powerful than we once believed. Through this process, we learn that our vulnerability is not a weakness, but a source of incredible inner power. One of the most important realizations in shadow work is that it's not about changing who we are, it's about accepting who we are. Often we think that personal growth means eliminating our flaws or becoming something we are not. But in reality, personal growth is about accepting all aspects of ourselves, including our imperfections. When we accept our shadow, we can live more authentically, no longer hiding parts of ourselves or trying to fit into an idealized version of who we think we should be. We become free to express ourselves fully without fear or shame. In the process of embracing the shadow, we also learn how to set healthy boundaries. Many of us have allowed others to cross our boundaries because we feared confrontation or rejection. When we ignore our shadow, we also ignore our need for healthy boundaries. But as we confront our repressed anger, frustration, and unmet needs, we learn how to assert ourselves in a balanced and respectful way. Setting boundaries becomes a way to honor and protect our true selves without feeling guilty or afraid. As we progress on our shadow journey, we begin to see life through a new lens. No longer do we view ourselves as incomplete or flawed. Instead, we embrace the wholeness that comes from accepting both our light and dark aspects. This integration allows us to move through life with greater compassion, understanding, and inner peace. We stop living in reaction to the world around us, and instead, we begin to live in alignment with our true nature. The more we embrace the shadow, the more we unlock the potential for growth, connection, and fulfillment. It's also important to recognize that the shadow is not an external force that we can control. It's a part of us. It is not something that we can banish or eliminate. It's a part of our psyche that will always exist, but it is also a part of our power. The more we accept and integrate it, the more it serves us, helping us to grow, evolve, and become more aligned with our true self. Shadow work is not about perfection, it's about acceptance, growth, and embracing the fullness of our being. As we continue to integrate the shadow, we also develop a deeper sense of gratitude for all the parts of ourselves that make us who we are. We learn to see the value in every experience, every emotion, and every challenge. Our shadow teaches us the lessons we need to grow, and through this process, we become more appreciative of the journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance. The more we integrate the shadow, the more we realize that it was never a burden to be carried, but a gift waiting to be discovered. When we repress our shadow, we also limit our potential for self-expression and fulfillment. But once we acknowledge and integrate these aspects, we can use them to our advantage. The shadow teaches us to embrace both our light and dark sides, knowing that each is an essential part of who we are. By bringing awareness to our shadow, we stop fearing our own emotions and impulses, and instead learn how to harness them for our own well-being and the benefit of others. Ultimately, the integration of the shadow is an act of freedom. It's the freedom to live authentically without fear or shame. It's the freedom to accept all parts of ourselves, to embrace our strengths and weaknesses, and to live in alignment with our true desires and values. By confronting the shadow, we free ourselves from the limitations we once placed on ourselves. We stop hiding, stop pretending, and start living with integrity, courage, and authenticity. This is the true power of shadow integration. By embracing the shadow, we unlock the full potential of our human experience. We step into our power, live authentically, and create a life that is rich with meaning, connection, and purpose. Shadow work is not a destination. It's a lifelong journey of self-discovery, healing, and growth. As you continue this journey, remember, you are not alone. We all have a shadow, and we all have the capacity to integrate it to grow from it, and to transform our lives in the process. Embrace your shadow. It is the key to becoming the person you are destined to be. The process of integrating the shadow brings a powerful shift in the way we experience the world. As we open ourselves to the full spectrum of our emotions and personality traits, we develop a sense of profound self-awareness. This awareness allows us to stop living in reaction to external circumstances, and begin making conscious, empowered decisions that reflect our true selves. We no longer feel the need to be controlled by the shadow because we have brought it into the light, integrated it, and learned to work with it. Through the integration of the shadow, we also become more accepting of others. Once we stop projecting our own suppressed emotions and traits onto others, we start seeing people for who they truly are, imperfect, complex, and deeply human, just like us. Instead of judging others harshly or feeling anger toward them, we begin to develop greater empathy. We realize that everyone is navigating their own journey of self-discovery and growth, and that we are all connected by our shared struggles and triumphs. This shift in perception deepens our relationships, making them more authentic and compassionate. As we accept our shadow, we can accept others as well. We no longer need to create false boundaries or distance ourselves from people who trigger our insecurities. Instead, we can engage with others in a way that fosters understanding, love, and mutual respect. The shadow in its raw and unfiltered form teaches us the importance of vulnerability, the willingness to be seen, to connect authentically, and to accept both our light and our darkness. By embracing the shadow, we also develop a more grounded sense of power. Many of us have been conditioned to think of power as something external, something that we must achieve or acquire. But when we integrate the shadow, we realize that true power is already within us. Personal power comes from self-acceptance and from recognizing our worth, flaws, and all. As we learn to work with our shadow, we reclaim the energy that we once used to repress or deny certain aspects of ourselves. This energy, when consciously channeled, becomes a source of empowerment and resilience. Integrating the shadow also helps us overcome self-sabotage. When we refuse to accept parts of ourselves, we unconsciously act in ways that reinforce the negative beliefs we have about ourselves. This leads to patterns of self-sabotage where we undermine our own success, happiness, or growth. But by confronting and integrating the shadow, we break free from these cycles. We stop holding ourselves back, and instead we learn to act in alignment with our true potential. The shadow is a force that, when harnessed, becomes a source of great wisdom. As we reflect on the parts of ourselves that we've hidden or denied, we begin to understand why we act the way we do and how our unconscious patterns have shaped our behavior. This understanding allows us to become more mindful in our thoughts and actions. Instead of being at the mercy of our unconscious drives, we start to make decisions that are based on self-awareness and intentionality. This wisdom is not only applicable in our personal lives, but also in our professional and creative endeavors. As we integrate the shadow, we become more innovative, resourceful, and effective. We stop limiting ourselves based on outdated beliefs or fears, and instead we approach challenges with a sense of openness and curiosity. Whether in our careers, relationships, or creative projects, we begin to see new possibilities and pathways for success. The shadow teaches us that true growth happens when we step outside of our comfort zones, embrace uncertainty, and trust in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. In addition to empowering us on a personal level, working with the shadow also helps us recognize our connection to the collective unconscious, the shared pool of experiences, archetypes, and universal symbols that unite all of humanity. Jung believed that the shadow is not just an individual experience, but also a collective one. We all carry a collective shadow shaped by the societal, cultural, and historical forces that influence us. Another powerful result of integrating the shadow is the ability to form deeper, more authentic relationships with others. When we deny our own shadow, we may project it onto others, judging or criticizing them for the very qualities we refuse to accept in ourselves. However, as we work with our shadow, we begin to see that others are also dealing with their own hidden parts. This realization allows us to approach people with greater empathy and understanding rather than judgment. When we confront our shadow, we also tap into this collective unconscious. We begin to see how our personal struggles are connected to larger social and cultural dynamics. This awareness deepens our understanding of the world and our place in it. As we confront our individual shadow, we simultaneously contribute to the healing of the collective shadow. Through this collective process of healing, we can create a world that is more just compassionate and understanding. The more we integrated the shadow, the more we realize that the work is never truly done. The shadow is always present, shifting and evolving as we do. As we move through life, we will encounter new layers of the shadow, challenging us to grow and evolve. This ongoing process of integration is what makes life so rich and transformative. Each time we face a new aspect of our shadow, we uncover deeper levels of wisdom and self-awareness, allowing us to continue to expand and evolve into more authentic versions of ourselves. But instead of seeing this as a burden, we can choose to see it as a gift. The shadow isn't something we need to fear or avoid. It is an invitation to grow, to embrace our wholeness, and to live more fully. It is through the shadow that we access the deepest layers of our being and awaken to the truth of who we really are. Every time we integrate a part of the shadow, we become more aligned with our true self, more connected to our inner wisdom, and more empowered to live a life of purpose and authenticity. In conclusion, the journey of shadow integration is one of the most profound and transformative paths we can take. It requires courage, patience, and commitment, but the rewards are immeasurable. By facing our shadow, we unlock our full potential, heal old wounds, and step into a life that is authentic, empowered, and deeply fulfilling. The shadow is not a force to be feared. It is a powerful ally in our journey of self-discovery, growth, and healing. By embracing the shadow, we awaken to the truth of who we really are, whole, complete, and worthy of love and acceptance. And in doing so, we open the door to a future that is filled with limitless possibilities, both for ourselves and for the world. As we embrace the shadow, it is important to understand that integration is not about eliminating the parts of ourselves that we find challenging, but about transforming them into sources of strength and wisdom. The shadow often holds our untapped potential, the parts of us that have been neglected or hidden due to fear or societal expectations. These aspects, whether they are our desires, instincts, or emotions, are not inherently negative. They only become problematic when we repress them. By bringing the shadow into conscious awareness, we can harness its energy for constructive purposes. For example, our anger, when understood and properly channeled, can become a source of assertiveness and motivation. Our insecurities, when recognized, can help us develop greater self-compassion and empathy for others. The key is to accept these traits not as weaknesses, but as aspects of ourselves that, when integrated, allow us to become more whole. The shadow is not something that can be defeated or eradicated. It is a part of our psyche that is constantly evolving and shifting. As we move through different stages of life, new aspects of the shadow will arise, offering us fresh opportunities for growth. The process of shadow integration is a continuous journey, one that requires us to stay open, adaptable, and willing to explore the hidden corners of our consciousness. One of the most powerful aspects of integrating the shadow is that it helps us develop a balanced relationship with our emotions. Many of us have been taught to fear or avoid certain emotions, such as sadness, anger, or fear. These emotions are often seen as signs of weakness or failure, which leads us to repress them. However, when we deny these emotions, they often resurface in unhealthy ways, such as through outbursts, anxiety, or depression. By working with the shadow, we learn to embrace these emotions as part of the human experience. We recognize that they are not inherently bad or dangerous. Instead of suppressing them, we learn how to express them in healthy ways. This allows us to experience life more fully and authentically without the constant fear of emotional overwhelm. For example, anger can be a powerful emotion when channeled appropriately. It can signal that our boundaries have been crossed or that something in our life needs to change. Instead of letting anger control us or lead to destructive behaviors, we can use it to assert ourselves, stand up for our values, and create positive change. The integration of the shadow brings a sense of inner peace. We stop battling with ourselves and instead embrace the full complexity of our being. We learn to accept that we are not perfect and that our imperfections are not weaknesses, but rather part of what makes us uniquely human. This acceptance helps us build healthier, more loving relationships with ourselves and with others. The more we integrate our shadow, the more we can connect with others in a genuine, compassionate way. The integration of the shadow also has profound implications for how we view failure and success. When we are disconnected from our shadow, we often view failure as something to be ashamed of, something that diminishes our worth. However, failure is an essential part of growth. It is through our mistakes and missteps that we learn, evolve, and develop resilience. By embracing our shadow, we can shift our perception of failure. We learn that failure is not a reflection of our inadequacy, but rather an opportunity for learning and growth. The shadow teaches us to approach failure with curiosity and compassion rather than fear and judgment. It helps us see that failure is not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter of self-discovery. In addition, by integrating the shadow, we also begin to redefine what success means. Success is not just about achieving external goals or meeting societal standards. It's about living in alignment with our true self. When we embrace our shadow, we stop measuring success by superficial benchmarks and instead focus on what truly brings us fulfillment, purpose, and meaning. This shift allows us to create a more authentic and satisfying life, free from the pressures of comparison or perfectionism. Another important aspect of shadow integration is how it impacts our relationship with power. For many people, the shadow contains unconscious beliefs about power and control. These beliefs can be shaped by past experiences, societal conditioning, or family dynamics. When we deny our shadow, we often find ourselves either avoiding power altogether or abusing power in unhealthy ways. When we integrate the shadow, we begin to develop a more balanced and healthy relationship with power. We learn to wield our personal power with integrity, wisdom, and responsibility. The shadow teaches us that power is not something to be feared or resisted. It is an essential part of our nature. When we accept and integrate our power, we can use it to create positive change in our own lives and in the world around us. Finally, it's important to recognize that the shadow is not just about confronting the darker aspects of ourselves. It also includes the reclamation of our lost potential. As we integrate the shadow, we uncover the talents, desires, and creative abilities that we have hidden or repressed. These are the aspects of ourselves that have been buried under layers of fear, doubt, or societal expectation. By bringing these parts of ourselves to the surface, we allow them to flourish. We begin to express ourselves more fully and creatively. The shadow reveals the parts of us that have been neglected, showing us the passions, abilities, and dreams that we may have forgotten or been afraid to pursue. Embracing the shadow gives us the freedom to live in alignment with our deepest desires, unlocking the full potential of our creative and intellectual abilities. As we integrate the shadow, we also experience a deep sense of inner peace. The more we embrace our darkness, the less we feel the need to fight or hide from it. We come to understand that our imperfections are not flaws, they are simply part of our human experience. The shadow helps us to stop judging ourselves for not being perfect and start accepting ourselves as we are. This peace comes from self-acceptance, the ability to love ourselves fully despite our flaws and imperfections. When we accept the shadow, we release the pressure to conform to unrealistic standards of perfection. We no longer feel the need to hide parts of ourselves or wear a mask to gain approval. Instead, we step into our true selves, free from the burden of self-judgment and shame. Through the process of shadow integration, we come to understand that we are all whole. Our light and dark aspects are equally important parts of who we are. The shadow is not something that makes us weak, it is what makes us human. It is through embracing both our light and dark sides that we experience the fullness of life and the richness of our own potential. The process of confronting the shadow is not easy, and it can be uncomfortable at times. It requires vulnerability, honesty, and the courage to face the parts of ourselves that we've been avoiding. But the rewards are immense. As we integrate our shadow, we experience greater emotional freedom, self-empowerment, and authenticity. We also become more resilient, able to navigate the ups and downs of life with a sense of groundedness and confidence. The journey of shadow integration is a journey towards self-realization, a journey toward becoming who we truly are. When we embrace the shadow, we stop living in fear of our own flaws and limitations. Instead, we embrace the fullness of our being, confident in the knowledge that we are enough just as we are. Integrating the shadow is a crucial journey toward understanding yourself and achieving psychological growth. Carl Jung emphasized that accepting both the light and dark sides of ourselves is the key to becoming whole and living a meaningful life. Remember, facing the shadow not only frees the hidden aspects of yourself, but also opens the door to a life filled with authenticity, freedom, and untapped potential. If you found the insights in this video helpful and want to dive deeper into the fascinating world of Jungian psychology, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future videos. Join Carl Jung's theories and archetypes as we explore even more profound psychological concepts and personal development strategies. Thank you for watching. If you found this content valuable, please share it and leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to receive our latest videos. Let's grow together and create the life we are meant to live. One of the keys to working with the shadow is to approach it without judgment. Instead of seeing it as something negative or shameful, we need to view it as a natural and valuable part of ourselves. The shadow contains the untapped potential that lies dormant within us, waiting to be awakened. When we accept it, we open ourselves to greater creativity, wisdom, and personal strength. The journey toward integrating the shadow is deeply personal, but it's also a universal experience. Every person has a shadow, and every person must confront it in order to achieve personal growth. The process of individuation is about becoming whole, about embracing both the light and dark aspects of our personality and integrating them into a unified self. The shadow is not something to fear or repress. It is something to embrace, learn from, and grow with. The integration of the shadow can be a lifelong journey, but it is a journey worth taking. It allows us to fully step into our power, live authentically, and connect with others on a deeper level. It helps us break free from the limitations we place on ourselves and embrace the fullness of who we are. As we work with the shadow, we discover new dimensions of our potential, and in doing so, we transform not only ourselves, but also the world around us. Shadow work leads to a life of greater authenticity, strength, and freedom. It helps us reclaim parts of ourselves that we've hidden away, allowing us to live with more courage, clarity, and confidence. The more we embrace our shadow, the more empowered we become to create the life we desire. Through this process, we unlock the door to self-discovery, personal growth, and true fulfillment. By embracing our shadow, we no longer let it control us from the shadows of our unconscious. Instead, we bring it into the light where it can serve as a powerful tool for growth and transformation. This is the power of the shadow, a transformative force that, when integrated, allows us to live more fully, freely, and authentically. One of the ways the shadow shows up in daily life is through negative emotions. For instance, when you feel envy towards someone, it may be a reflection of a part of your shadow that has not been acknowledged. Instead of confronting and understanding this emotion, you might deny it or rationalize that you're not envious. However, this feeling remains within you and can unconsciously influence your behaviors and decisions. As you continue on your journey of integrating the shadow, you'll realize that it's not just about healing old wounds or confronting negative traits. It's also about empowerment. The parts of ourselves that we've been avoiding are often the very parts that, when fully integrated, can lead us to a more empowered, authentic life. When we stop running from our fears and vulnerabilities, we gain the strength to embrace all aspects of our being, good and bad. This makes us more resilient, more adaptable, and more capable of dealing with life's challenges. One of the key aspects of shadow work is acknowledging that growth comes from discomfort. We don't grow by staying in our comfort zones, avoiding difficult emotions, or running away from our deepest fears. Real growth happens when we face the things we've been avoiding, when we confront the aspects of ourselves that we've suppressed. The discomfort we feel during this process is simply a sign that we're growing, evolving, and expanding into a fuller version of ourselves. This is why the shadow is so important. It forces us to confront the parts of ourselves that need healing. Without it, we might remain stuck in old patterns, living out repetitive cycles that keep us from reaching our true potential. When we face the shadow, we don't just heal old wounds, we create new opportunities for growth and transformation. We open ourselves up to the possibility of becoming the person we've always been meant to be. As we embrace the shadow, we begin to see ourselves not as broken or incomplete, but as whole and capable. We stop seeing our weaknesses and flaws as permanent limitations and start viewing them as opportunities for growth and self-mastery. The shadow doesn't define us, it refines us. It gives us the chance to evolve, to become more self-aware, and to live a life that is aligned with our deepest values and desires. When we finally make peace with our shadow, we realize that we no longer need to hide, pretend, or wear a mask. We can be who we truly are with all of our imperfections and strengths. This authenticity is incredibly freeing. It allows us to form deeper, more meaningful connections with others and to live a life that is true to ourselves rather than one defined by external expectations. This doesn't mean we stop working on ourselves or that we should embrace all of our flaws without effort to improve. Rather, it means that we stop rejecting the parts of ourselves that we think are unworthy and start accepting them as part of the beautiful, complex whole that is us. The more we accept, the more we expand our capacity for love, connection, and purpose. It's also important to note that shadow work doesn't necessarily require dramatic or extreme transformations. It's a subtle process that unfolds over time. It's in the small moments of self-awareness, the gentle shifts in perception, and the willingness to embrace discomfort and uncertainty. When you begin to observe your reactions, your triggers, and the things that make you feel uneasy, you start to unravel the layers of your shadow. These layers don't need to be stripped away all at once. Sometimes the most profound changes come from slowly integrating them into your everyday life. It's in those moments of discomfort when you can ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? This question helps you see your shadow not as an enemy, but as a mentor, one that is guiding you toward greater understanding and wisdom. The more you ask this question, the more you begin to see your shadow as a tool for growth rather than something to avoid or suppress. As we continue to work with our shadow, we realize that it's not just a personal journey, it's a universal one. Every person, no matter their background or life experience, has their own shadow to confront. We are all on this path of self-discovery and self-acceptance. The beauty of this journey is that it connects us with the shared human experience. We all struggle with our hidden selves. We all face the challenge of integrating the parts of us that we've been taught to deny. And yet it is in embracing our shadow that we can break free from the chains of fear, guilt, and shame. When we fully accept ourselves, we open the door to endless possibilities. Possibilities for personal growth, meaningful connections, and a deeper sense of purpose. By accepting our shadow, we stop holding ourselves back from the life we truly desire. We stop running from who we are and instead learn to love ourselves fully. Shadow can also manifest in strong reactions to others, especially when their actions trigger discomfort, anger, or judgment. These feelings may indicate that you're facing qualities in others that you cannot accept or recognize within yourself. For example, you might get angry when someone shows arrogance or pride. In reality, this behavior could be a reflection of your own shadow, the traits of arrogance that you haven't accepted or expressed outwardly. The integration of the shadow is at its core a transformative journey. It allows us to stop living in the shadows of our past, our fears, and our repressed emotions. Instead, we step into the light of our own power and authenticity. When we confront and integrate our shadow, we free ourselves from the constraints of our old patterns and beliefs. We stop being controlled by the very parts of ourselves that we've denied for so long. This transformation isn't just for ourselves, it's for the world around us. As we become more authentic and whole, we bring a sense of wholeness to our relationships, our communities, and our society. When we live authentically, we inspire others to do the same. We create a ripple effect of self-acceptance and personal growth, one that can change the world for the better. With each step we take toward integrating our shadow, we break free from the limitations that once held us back. We unlock a new level of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and personal power. The shadow becomes not just a part of us, but a source of strength and growth. So as you continue on your journey, remember this. The shadow is not something to be feared. It is something to be embraced, understood, and integrated. By doing so, you become more than you ever imagined, more authentic, more powerful, and more at peace with yourself. The path to integrating the shadow requires patience and persistence. It's not a destination that you reach once and for all, but an ongoing journey of self-discovery and growth. Every time you confront a new layer of your shadow, it's an opportunity to expand your consciousness and deepen your understanding of yourself. This process can be challenging, but it is also profoundly rewarding. As you continue to embrace your shadow, you'll notice that you begin to feel more complete, more at peace, and more capable of handling the challenges life throws at you. One of the most important things to remember when working with your shadow is that it's not about becoming perfect. The goal isn't to eliminate the parts of yourself you find uncomfortable or inconvenient, but to accept and integrate them as part of your wholeness. This acceptance doesn't mean you won't continue to grow or evolve, but rather that you begin to love and accept yourself fully, flaws and all. When you integrate the shadow, you stop feeling like you need to hide or deny parts of yourself, and instead you stand in your full authenticity. The integration of the shadow is also about freedom, the freedom to be yourself without fear of judgment or rejection. When we keep repressing parts of ourselves, we live in constant fear of being found out or not measuring up to others' expectations. But when we face our shadow, we can finally release that fear. We no longer need to hide who we are because we accept and embrace our true selves. This freedom is liberating, allowing us to step into a life that feels true to us. In the process of integrating the shadow, we also unlock a deeper sense of empathy and compassion. As we understand our own flaws and struggles, we begin to see those same qualities in others. We become less judgmental and more compassionate toward those who are still grappling with their own shadows. This empathy creates stronger, more authentic connections with others. We begin to understand that everyone has their own journey of growth and healing, and we don't need to judge or criticize them for it. Instead, we can offer support and kindness, knowing that we all share in the human experience of struggle and transformation. This deeper compassion doesn't just extend to others, it extends to ourselves. We learn to be kinder to ourselves, more forgiving of our mistakes, and more accepting of the parts of us that we once deemed unworthy. By integrating the shadow, we develop a sense of inner peace that allows us to feel whole, unburdened by the weight of shame, guilt, or self-criticism. In this way, the shadow serves as a profound teacher. It helps us break through the limiting beliefs we've held about ourselves and others. It encourages us to stop running from our fears and instead use them as stepping stones toward greater self-awareness and growth. The more we embrace the shadow, the more we understand that true strength lies in vulnerability. The most powerful people are not those who hide their flaws, but those who are able to own them, learn from them, and use them to fuel their personal evolution. This process of embracing the shadow doesn't make us weak. It makes us stronger. It makes us more resilient, more adaptable, and more capable of handling the challenges life throws at us. It allows us to stop hiding behind masks or false personas and step into our true power. When we fully accept ourselves, we free ourselves from the fear of judgment and the need for external validation. We no longer feel the need to conform or fit into a mold. Instead, we stand tall in our authenticity, unapologetically embracing who we are. The challenge with the shadow is that we often project it onto others. When we refuse to acknowledge certain aspects of ourselves, we are more likely to see them in others. This projection can manifest as judgment, dislike, or even intense emotional reactions toward those around us. For example, if you feel immense anger or disdain towards someone for being arrogant, it might be a sign that you are rejecting your own feelings of arrogance or superiority. The shadow is often at work in these moments as we project parts of ourselves that we can't accept onto others. As we progress on the journey of shadow integration, we begin to see how much of our power has been lying dormant, waiting to be unlocked. These hidden aspects of ourselves are not weaknesses. They are sources of untapped potential. By integrating them, we unleash a newfound energy that propels us forward on our path to self-actualization. Our shadow contains the strength, creativity, and emotional depth that we have been ignoring or suppressing for too long. Each step we take toward integrating the shadow brings us closer to our true self. It is a journey of discovery, of learning who we really are, what we are capable of, and how we can show up in the world. As we embrace all aspects of ourselves, we begin to see that we are more than the sum of our parts. We are multifaceted beings, each with a unique combination of light and darkness. And it is this full expression of our being that makes us truly powerful. By confronting and integrating our shadow, we also become more in tune with the collective unconscious, the universal shared elements of humanity that Jung believed connect us all. As we recognize the shadow within ourselves, we come to understand that others also carry their own shadows. This recognition fosters a sense of interconnectedness, reminding us that we are all on this journey together, navigating the complexities of the human experience. This connection to the collective unconscious helps us see that our individual struggles are not isolated. They are part of the larger human condition. We are all working through our own shadows, and in doing so, we contribute to the collective healing and growth of humanity. The more we embrace our shadow, the more we contribute to a world that is more honest, compassionate, and self-aware. In conclusion, the shadow is not something to fear or avoid. It is an essential part of who we are. By confronting and integrating the shadow, we unlock the door to personal transformation, emotional freedom, and deeper self-awareness. It is through embracing the shadow that we become whole. We stop living in denial and begin living in alignment with our true selves, tapping into our fullest potential and becoming the person we were always meant to be. When we embrace our shadow, we step into our power. We stop hiding, stop fearing, and stop apologizing for who we are. Instead, we stand tall in our authenticity, knowing that the shadow is not something to overcome, but something to integrate. And in doing so, we open the door to limitless possibilities for growth, connection, and fulfillment. As we continue to embrace our shadow, it's important to remember that the journey of integration is not always linear. There will be moments of progress and setbacks. We may find ourselves slipping back into old patterns of denial, fear, or projection. But this is part of the process. The key is not to be discouraged when we encounter these challenges, but to see them as opportunities to learn more about ourselves. Every time we confront an aspect of our shadow, we have the chance to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The shadow teaches us that we are not defined by our flaws or mistakes. We are defined by our ability to grow from them. Each time we face our shadow, we shed the layers of false identity we've built around ourselves. We stop seeing ourselves as perfect or flawless and instead begin to embrace our humanity, the full spectrum of our being with all its complexities, contradictions, and depth. This shift in perspective allows us to experience true freedom because we no longer feel the need to hide parts of ourselves in order to gain approval or acceptance. One of the most profound lessons that the shadow offers is the realization that our greatest strengths often come from the very parts of ourselves that we once feared or rejected. The qualities we view as weaknesses, anger, jealousy, insecurity, are often the very emotions that, when understood and channeled in healthy ways, fuel creativity, passion, and personal growth. For instance, by embracing our anger, we can learn how to assert our boundaries, speak up for ourselves, and stand firm in our beliefs. Jealousy, when examined, can reveal desires and goals that we have yet to pursue, urging us to take action toward our dreams. It's through this kind of understanding that the shadow transforms from a source of shame into a source of power. We begin to see the shadow not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a guide that helps us navigate the complexities of our own psyche. When we accept and integrate the shadow, we become more emotionally intelligent, more self-aware, and more capable of making conscious, intentional choices. Recognizing this projection is one of the first steps in dealing with the shadow. Once we become aware of the patterns, we can start to understand that the things we criticize in others may be reflections of the shadow within ourselves. By turning inward and examining these reactions, we can begin to reclaim the rejected parts of ourselves. Instead of blaming others, we can learn to accept and integrate these traits, turning them from sources of shame into powerful tools for growth. The power of the shadow is that it teaches us to live more fully. It encourages us to step outside our comfort zones, to take risks, and to embrace vulnerability. As we work with our shadow, we start to realize that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy. We don't have to hide our flaws to be loved or accepted. In fact, it's in our imperfections that we find the most genuine connections with others. When we stop pretending to be someone we're not, we open the door to deeper, more authentic relationships. As we continue this journey of shadow integration, we learn to trust ourselves more deeply. We trust that we have the ability to face the most difficult parts of ourselves and come out stronger on the other side. We trust that we can hold space for our shadow just as we hold space for our light, and that this balance is what makes us whole. It is through the acceptance of both our light and dark aspects that we unlock the full range of our human experience. This process also allows us to break free from the cycles of self-sabotage that often arise when we ignore or repress our shadow. When we deny these parts of ourselves, they don't disappear. They find ways to manifest in unconscious behaviors or negative thought patterns. By working with our shadow, we take control of our own narrative. We stop allowing our fears, insecurities, and past traumas to dictate how we live. Instead, we become the authors of our own story, writing a narrative that is true to who we are. As we progress on the journey of shadow integration, we begin to see how much of our power has been lying dormant, waiting to be unlocked. These hidden aspects of ourselves are not weaknesses. They are sources of untapped potential. By integrating them, we unleash a newfound energy that propels us forward on our path to self-actualization. Our shadow contains the strength, creativity, and emotional depth that we have been ignoring or suppressing for too long. Each step we take toward integrating the shadow brings us closer to our true self. It is a journey of discovery, of learning who we really are, what we are capable of, and how we can show up in the world. As we embrace all aspects of ourselves, we begin to see that we are more than the sum of our parts. We are multifaceted beings, each with a unique combination of light and darkness. And it is this full expression of our being that makes us truly powerful. By confronting and integrating our shadow, we also become more in tune with the collective unconscious, the universal shared elements of humanity that Jung believed connect us all. As we recognize the shadow within ourselves, we come to understand that others also carry their own shadows. This recognition fosters a sense of interconnectedness, reminding us that we are all on this journey together, navigating the complexities of the human experience. This connection to the collective unconscious helps us see that our individual struggles are not isolated. They are part of the larger human condition. We are all working through our own shadows, and in doing so, we contribute to the collective healing and growth of humanity. The more we embrace our shadow, the more we contribute to a world that is more honest, compassionate, and self-aware. In conclusion, the shadow is not something to fear or avoid. It is an essential part of who we are. By confronting and integrating the shadow, we unlock the door to personal transformation, emotional freedom, and deeper self-awareness. It is through embracing the shadow that we become whole. We stop living in denial and begin living in alignment with our true selves, tapping into our fullest potential and becoming the person we were always meant to be. When we embrace our shadow, we step into our power. We stop hiding, stop fearing, and stop apologizing for who we are. Instead, we stand tall in our authenticity, knowing that the shadow is not something to overcome, but something to integrate. And in doing so, we open the door to limitless possibilities for growth, connection, and fulfillment. As we continue to embrace our shadow, it's important to remember that the journey of integration is not always linear. There will be moments of progress and setbacks. We may find ourselves slipping back into old patterns of denial, fear, or projection. But this is part of the process. The key is not to be discouraged when we encounter these challenges, but to see them as opportunities to learn more about ourselves. Every time we confront an aspect of our shadow, we have the chance to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. This is the essence of individuation, Jung's concept of becoming a whole and integrated individual. To achieve individuation, we must confront our shadow, accept it, and work to integrate it into our conscious self. Only by embracing the full spectrum of our personalities, both the light and the dark, can we achieve true self-realization. The shadow teaches us that we are not defined by our flaws or mistakes. We are defined by our ability to grow from them. Each time we face our shadow, we shed the layers of false identity we've built around ourselves. We stop seeing ourselves as perfect or flawless, and instead begin to embrace our humanity, the full spectrum of our being with all its complexities, contradictions, and depth. This shift in perspective allows us to experience true freedom because we no longer feel the need to hide parts of ourselves in order to gain approval or acceptance. One of the most profound lessons that the shadow offers is the realization that our greatest strengths often come from the very parts of ourselves that we once feared or rejected. The qualities we view as weaknesses, anger, jealousy, insecurity, are often the very emotions that, when understood and channeled in healthy ways, fuel creativity, passion, and personal growth. For instance, by embracing our anger, we can learn how to assert our boundaries, speak up for ourselves, and stand firm in our beliefs. Jealousy, when examined, can reveal desires and goals that we have yet to pursue, urging us to take action toward our dreams. It's through this kind of understanding that the shadow transforms from a source of shame into a source of power. We begin to see the shadow not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a guide that helps us navigate the complexities of our own psyche. When we accept and integrate the shadow, we become more emotionally intelligent, more self-aware, and more capable of making conscious, intentional choices. The power of the shadow is that it teaches us to live more fully. It encourages us to step outside our comfort zones, to take risks, and to embrace vulnerability. As we work with our shadow, we start to realize that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy. We don't have to hide our flaws to be loved or accepted. In fact, it's in our imperfections that we find the most genuine connections with others. When we stop pretending to be someone we're not, we open the door to deeper, more authentic relationships. As we continue this journey of shadow integration, we learn to trust ourselves more deeply. We trust that we have the ability to face the most difficult parts of ourselves and come out stronger on the other side. We trust that we can hold space for our shadow, just as we hold space for our light, and that this balance is what makes us whole. It is through the acceptance of both our light and dark aspects that we unlock the full range of our human experience. This process also allows us to break free from the cycles of self-sabotage that often arise when we ignore or repress our shadow. When we deny these parts of ourselves, they don't disappear. They find ways to manifest in unconscious behaviors or negative thought patterns. By working with our shadow, we take control of our own narrative. We stop allowing our fears, insecurities, and past traumas to dictate how we live. Instead, we become the authors of our own story, writing a narrative that is true to who we are. As you continue to integrate the shadow, remember that this is not about perfection, it's about acceptance. The journey is not about getting rid of your flaws, but about accepting them and learning how to use them to fuel your growth. The shadow is not a force that must be conquered. It is a part of you that must be embraced. It is an essential part of the whole, and by accepting it, you allow yourself to live in greater harmony with your true self. Ultimately, working with the shadow leads to freedom. Freedom from self-judgment, freedom from the constraints of societal expectations, and freedom from the fear of being seen for who we truly are. As we confront and embrace the shadow, we stop hiding and start living authentically. We stop being controlled by fear and start living in alignment with our true desires and values. The integration of the shadow also brings a profound sense of peace. When we accept all parts of ourselves, we stop fighting against our own nature. We stop feeling the need to be someone we're not, and instead we become who we were always meant to be. This inner peace radiates outward, proving our relationships, our careers, and our overall well-being. It's in accepting our shadow that we truly unlock our potential. So as you embark on the journey of shadow integration, remember that it's not about becoming a perfect person. It's about becoming a whole person. A person who is aware of both their light and their darkness, and who accepts both with compassion and understanding. Through this journey, you will unlock your true self, living with more authenticity, freedom, and inner peace than ever before. One of the most powerful aspects of integrating the shadow is that it frees us from the constant struggle to uphold a false, idealized version of ourselves. When we ignore our shadow, we're essentially living in denial, trying to be someone we are not. But when we accept and integrate the shadow, we step into our full power. The shadow helps us realize that we don't need to be perfect. We just need to be authentic. This authenticity comes with a deeper sense of self-awareness and self-acceptance, which allows us to navigate the world with greater clarity and confidence. As we continue this process of shadow integration, it's important to recognize that this journey is unique for each person. What may appear as a challenge or weakness for one person can be an opportunity for growth for another. The shadow works differently for each individual, shaped by personal experiences, societal influences, and deeply held beliefs. No two shadows are identical because no two people are identical. This uniqueness is part of what makes the shadow work so powerful. It's a deeply personal journey of self-discovery and transformation. This individuality means that the process of shadow integration requires a deep level of self-reflection. It's not enough to simply acknowledge that we have a shadow. We must take the time to understand it, to explore its origins, and to learn how it affects our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. This process requires honesty with ourselves, and it often brings up uncomfortable emotions. However, it's through this discomfort that we unlock profound insights and understanding. Shadow work involves a constant questioning of who we are, what we believe, and why we act the way we do. It's about exploring the reasons behind our fears, our anger, our insecurities, and our desires. This is not a quick fix or a one-time event. It's a lifelong process of uncovering the parts of ourselves that have been hidden and integrating them into our consciousness. The deeper we go into our shadow, the more we realize that it holds powerful wisdom. The parts of ourselves that we've rejected are often the parts that hold the keys to unlocking our fullest potential. This is why embracing the shadow can be so transformational. It reveals hidden gifts and abilities that we've been too afraid to tap into. These are the aspects of ourselves that, once integrated, give us the strength, creativity, and emotional depth to move forward with confidence. Take, for example, the concept of anger. Many of us view anger as a destructive emotion, something to be avoided or suppressed. But when we look deeper, we realize that anger often arises from a place of passion, drive, or the need for self-protection. By acknowledging and understanding our anger, we can use it as a powerful motivator for positive change. Instead of allowing anger to control us, we can channel it into constructive action, whether that's standing up for ourselves, asserting our boundaries, or fighting for a cause we believe in. This is the gift of the shadow. It teaches us to look beyond the surface and see the potential hidden within our emotions, behaviors, and experiences. When we accept the shadow, we start to see everything in a new light. We realize that our darkest moments have the potential to bring us the greatest growth, and our struggles can become the foundation for our transformation. In the process of integrating the shadow, we also become more aware of the ways in which our inner child, the vulnerable, sensitive part of us, can be healed. The shadow often holds the unhealed wounds from childhood, the parts of us that were hurt, neglected, or misunderstood. By confronting and accepting the shadow, we give ourselves the opportunity to heal these wounds, to nurture the child within, and to reclaim the parts of ourselves that were once buried in fear or shame. This healing process is deeply liberating. When we make peace with our shadow, we stop carrying the weight of past trauma or self-doubt. We begin to live with a sense of inner freedom, no longer shackled by the unresolved pain of the past. As we heal, we become more compassionate and understanding, not only toward ourselves, but also toward others. We see that we are all carrying some form of shadow, and we develop empathy for the struggles others face. The healing of the shadow also creates space for personal empowerment. As we integrate the repressed aspects of ourselves, we step into our full potential. We become more confident, more self-assured, and more aligned with our true purpose. We no longer let fear or guilt dictate our actions. Instead, we act with a sense of clarity and authenticity, knowing that we are no longer hiding from ourselves. It's important to remember that the integration of the shadow is not a destination, but a lifelong process. As we continue to evolve, new aspects of our shadow may emerge. These revelations are not signs of failure, but indications that we are ready to face deeper layers of our psyche. Each time we confront a new aspect of our shadow, we grow stronger and more aligned with our true self. And with each step we take, we move closer to living a life of authenticity and empowerment. Shadow work is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process of self-discovery and growth. As we evolve, new aspects of our shadow may emerge. These new challenges provide opportunities to continue learning and expanding our understanding of ourselves. Each time we face and integrate a new part of our shadow, we grow stronger, more resilient, and more in touch with our true self. In a sense, the shadow is a guide, not a force to be feared or avoided. It leads us toward greater self-understanding, deeper self-love, and a richer, more fulfilling life. By embracing the shadow, we stop limiting ourselves and begin to experience the fullness of our potential. We stop seeing our flaws as weaknesses and start recognizing them as the very qualities that make us human, complex, and uniquely powerful. The integration of the shadow also invites us to live with greater acceptance and compassion toward others. When we confront our own shadows, we realize that others are on the same journey of self-discovery. We see their flaws and imperfections not as reasons to judge or criticize, but as signs of their own struggles and growth. By accepting our own shadow, we learn to accept others more fully, embracing them for who they truly are, not just the parts of them that are easily visible. This leads to more authentic, meaningful relationships, ones that are not based on superficial ideals, but on deep mutual understanding and respect. When we are no longer afraid to confront our own shadow, we can build relationships founded on truth, vulnerability, and unconditional love. Embracing the shadow is ultimately an act of courage. It's the courage to face the parts of ourselves that we've been avoiding, to accept our flaws, and to work through our fears. It's the courage to step into our full power, knowing that by integrating the shadow, we are becoming whole, becoming the person we were always meant to be. And in doing so, we not only transform ourselves, but we also help to transform the world around us. So as you continue to walk the path of shadow integration, remember this is your journey. It is unique to you, and it is a journey that holds incredible potential for growth, healing, and empowerment. The shadow is not something to be feared, but something to embrace, because in doing so, you unlock the deepest truths of who you are and who you are destined to become. In addition to the personal benefits of integrating the shadow, there are also powerful collective implications. As individuals, when we embrace our shadow, we not only heal ourselves, but also contribute to the healing of the collective. The shadow is not confined to the individual. It extends to societies, cultures, and communities. Our collective shadow includes the parts of humanity that we tend to ignore, deny, or repress: racism, inequality, environmental destruction, and many other global challenges. When we confront our personal shadow, we are better able to confront and address the collective shadow. We stop externalizing problems and begin to see our role in the larger context of society. This shift allows us to contribute to collective healing by embracing our shared humanity, understanding the pain and struggles of others, and working together toward a more compassionate, just world. Jung believed that healing the shadow was a prerequisite for societal transformation. As we embrace our own shadow, we create a ripple effect that extends outward, encouraging others to do the same. This ripple effect fosters greater empathy, understanding, and cooperation, leading to a more harmonious and unified world. It's through the integration of the shadow that we can create a future where we live more consciously, both as individuals and as a collective. Another important aspect of shadow integration is the role it plays in our creative potential. Often the shadow holds the deepest well of creativity within us, ideas, passions, and talents that we've suppressed or ignored. The parts of ourselves that we label as flaws or weaknesses and are often the same parts that, when expressed and embraced, can lead to great artistic, intellectual, or professional achievements. Jung himself was an artist as well as a psychologist. He saw the shadow as a rich source of inspiration for creativity. Artists, musicians, writers, and performers often find that their most powerful works arise from the parts of themselves they are most reluctant to acknowledge. By confronting the shadow, we give permission to our creative potential to emerge unshackled by fear, judgment, or societal expectations. Think of the shadow as a mirror that reflects the parts of you that need attention and healing. Every time you face a difficult emotion or behavior that you've been avoiding, that is an opportunity to look into the mirror of the shadow and ask, what is this teaching me about myself? When you approach the shadow with curiosity and compassion rather than fear and judgment, you open the door to self-empowerment and transformation. In essence, the shadow is not just something we integrate for the sake of emotional well-being. It's a gateway to creativity where our true potential can flourish. When we accept and integrate these hidden aspects, we unleash a flow of inspiration and insight that can propel us toward greater artistic, professional, and personal achievements. Through shadow work, we also begin to develop a deeper understanding of power, what it means to have it, and what it means to use it responsibly. Often, the shadow holds aspects of our personality related to control and power dynamics. These may be parts of ourselves that we've rejected because we've been taught that power is something negative or that we are not allowed to have power in certain areas of our lives. But the shadow contains a more balanced and healthier approach to power. When we integrate the shadow, we reclaim our power in a way that is authentic, grounded, and aligned with our values. We stop using power as a tool for manipulation or control, and instead use it to create positive change in our lives and in the world. We become empowered not by denying our shadow, but by embracing it, allowing us to wield our power wisely and with integrity. One of the key aspects of shadow integration is that it leads to freedom. Freedom from the constraints we've placed on ourselves. Freedom from societal expectations and freedom from the fear of being judged. When we live with our shadow integrated, we stop hiding behind masks pretending to be someone we are not, and instead we can express our true selves with confidence and authenticity. This freedom allows us to live in alignment with our deepest desires, our true values, and our most authentic purpose. We begin to trust ourselves more deeply, knowing that we are no longer defined by our flaws, mistakes, or the parts of ourselves that we've hidden away. We are free to live in the fullness of who we are, embracing both our strengths and weaknesses with equal love and acceptance. This freedom is the foundation for living a meaningful, empowered life, a life that is truly our own. The journey of integrating the shadow also leads to a deeper connection with others. When we accept our own darkness, we become more compassionate toward the darkness in others. We stop seeing people as good or bad based on their actions, and instead we begin to see them as individuals on their own path of growth and self-realization. This perspective allows us to build more compassionate, understanding relationships with those around us. As we move forward with our shadow work, we also realize that we are all connected in our struggles and our growth. Everyone has their own shadow to integrate, and this shared experience unites us in our humanity. This collective understanding fosters more empathy and love between individuals and communities, helping us navigate conflicts and challenges with a greater sense of unity and purpose. The shadow is not something to be cured or avoided. It is something to be embraced and integrated. It is a part of us, and when we accept it, we unlock the deepest potential for growth, creativity, and connection. Through shadow work, we become more self-aware, more empowered, and more capable of living authentically. We break free from the limitations we've placed on ourselves and open up to the endless possibilities of who we can become. Jung's insights on the shadow offer us a profound roadmap for personal and collective transformation. By working with our shadow, we don't just transform ourselves, we transform the world around us. We create a ripple effect of healing, growth, and empowerment that can change not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us. In the end, embracing the shadow is the key to living a full, authentic, and empowered life. It is through the shadow that we find the strength to become our true selves, whole, integrated, and powerful.